Hey everyone. Sorry, I didn't even notice when the live video started thing. Oh my goodness, I'm going to keep working on doing these live videos for you. I am excited actually to have this opportunity to come to you guys, hopefully weekly. I probably won't be checking in while I'm in Switzerland, which I'm going to in a week and a half. I am leaving for a 2-week writing intensive with Mary DeMuth. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she recently wrote a book called We Too, How the Church Can Respond Redemptively to the Sexual Abuse Crisis. And I get to spend 2 weeks with her on... Okay, I so apologize for that. I don't know what's happening right now, but I need to change some settings on my phone, and I don't know. If I'm still live, would you guys let me know? I'm so sorry. I had a phone call come in because I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Okay, anyway, I'm going to continue talking, so if you guys can hear me, just let me know, hey, I hear you, that's great. So I'm going to Geneva, Switzerland for 2 weeks to spend with Mary DeMuth to work on writing a book and hopefully work on the book that I've sent a proposal to an agent I'm waiting to hear on, and some other book ideas that I think will help each of us to grow in courage, to develop our own lives in ways that are God honoring. Really behind the scenes, some of my passion for each one of us is for people who want to do things for God. We want to do things well. We want to honor God, but sometimes we get stuck in our personal lives and there's like these distortions that are happening in our belief systems, and sometimes it's hard to know what's true and how we can actually develop who we're called to be in a way that honors God, ourselves, and other people. So that's kind of my heart behind the different book projects that I'm working on, which brings me to the webinar. So I wasn't going to bring this up first, but I did want to mention, you guys may have seen this in the emails. If not, please go ahead and check your emails and make sure that you're getting the newsletter, or let me know that you need one forwarded to you. I'm doing a webinar. Primarily this goes to my Rise Up Writers audience, but I wanted to bring it up in this community because I realized that there's a lot of overlap. People that come to me for a Cultivated Life are also interested in writing a book. A lot of people have hard stories, or that someone has told them they should write a book, or they have ideas, but they're not sure what to do next with that. So you do not have to be part of Rise Up Writers to join us on the webinar. That is Thursday, 1 Central, 2 Eastern. I think it's 11 Pacific. And the registration links are in the emails that I sent you. And I can also put a link below if you're interested in that. I would love to have you. And just if you're interested in the Rise Up Writers community, I'd love to have you there as well. So that's just a quick update on that webinar. And I wanted to bring up to you, well, first of all, okay, 2 different things. In the last couple of weeks, I believe recently shared an article that I had written, I think it was last year, on selfishness in relationships. And that article did pretty well then, and they reshared it, and it's drawn a lot of interest. The interest has really surprised me. Number one, that article was super hard for me to write, just my own challenges and pains of being told that I'm selfish, that hits me in some really raw places. And I wanted to write this article from a place that says, you know what? I am selfish. I can be selfish. There are times when I'm selfish without owning what isn't selfish. And I think that's really hard for people who want to do things for God, but things have gotten twisted up. Because we might start to believe that living out who we're called to be is selfish. We might not find it easy to recognize what is selfish that's keeping us from healthy connections, attachments, and relationships versus what is actually healthy. There is a level of self-protection that's healthy. Usually when we talk about self-protection, it's not healthy. It's because we're more self-reliant versus God-reliant. And I want to help people kind of examine that, explore it, and let God speak to your own hearts. Not just me telling you like what to do or how to do it, but to help you kind of dig into those areas with God to where there might be unhealthy beliefs, wounding experiences from the past that have kind of formed things that are keeping you from experiencing life with God to his fullest. So I am, when I wrote that article, one of the things that I didn't notice until someone emailed me and let me know was that I had said I had a bunch of follow-up content. Well, I probably had some ideas planned, and I have tried many different ways to keep track of my ideas, and unfortunately I lost track of that and I did not follow through. So please accept my apologies for not following through on that. Over the years, people have come to me looking for more content in that topic, and even though some of the content that I write, the way that I write about it, whether it's talking about searching for counseling or healing process or dealing with hard things and trauma healing, the way that I write, I do believe addresses this approach of kind of living a bold yet humble life that is not selfish, helping you kind of see the ways that are helpful for you to do things that are for yourself, but not from a selfish point of view. So, but I am going to write some additional content and work on future content that addresses this more specifically and directly. And I've contacted I Believe, so I gave some ideas in a recent newsletter. You guys are welcome to vote. I will probably do at least 2 of those, just deciding which one to do first. And I have another article that I'm working on anxiety for crosswalk as well. So I wanted to bring that up because if you have questions on selfishness, I'm kind of taking all the emails that I'm getting and the questions and trying to keep that in mind as I create this content so that I'm actually addressing the things that you guys are looking for. Although I hope that you'll also see that through some of the other content, one of the things that I keep coming back to is personal ownership and personal responsibility in a way that owns what is ours to own without owning what other people try to put on us or trying to put onto others what we think they should own. And so in that place, that is not it is a place that honors self without focusing on self and becoming self-reliant. I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if you have questions on that. So thank you guys for letting me know that you hear me. Heather, Kelly, is it Avila or Evila? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. If you're still here, welcome. I'm so glad to see you guys here. So that's the selfishness article. I am working on the follow-up pieces. Hopefully you got the emails. Please let me know if you're not already subscribed and you need me to forward you an email. Please do that. If you need to subscribe, joleneunderwood.com/scribe. So webinar Thursday, selfishness articles, the weekly challenges. I have really wrestled with how to keep this group. Well, one is safe because I have the questions when people come in. I want you to answer those questions. It helps me kind of limit the group to people who actually want to engage and grow. I don't want this to be just a massive group because I'm getting numbers or whatever it is. I want this to actually be a truly helpful and engaged community so that you can take some of the steps of cultivating your own life. And I'd love to hear how God is working in your own life. When we hear other people's stories, it can encourage somebody. In sometimes they may know why it's encouraging them because they're experiencing something similar. And there's times, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, when somebody shares a story or they're sharing something that they're passionate about, an experience that they've had, whatever it is, and even though their experience isn't your experience, something is touching your heart. There have been times when I listen to someone share a story and my head is thinking, I already know this, I got that, but my heart is, something else is happening because like tears are starting to flow to my eyes. Something is surfacing that I'm not even aware of. And when we share our experiences with God, kind of our struggles, what we're, the questions that we may have, the doubts that we may have, and then also the experiences and how we do sense God moving, it can impact other people. So I really do want to hear from you guys. Kelly, thank you. I'm glad that you read the article and have been thinking about this topic. It is challenging. And right now, the timing of doing these follow-up pieces is challenging for me as well. So I'd love your prayers that I would remain humble and that I would actually be just letting God work through me the best way that I can. So on the weekly challenges, we've had 2. I'm trying to do these on Monday. I didn't make it on Monday. I'm not real good at planning content in advance, so I'm working on that still. The first challenge was noticing God's comfort or conviction, maybe both. Just kind of giving you some tips about hearing from God. So if you're looking for the challenges at any point, you can look for the hashtag. I think it's Cultivate Challenge. I'll have to double check. But if you scroll through, we don't have a lot of posts in the group right now, so you could probably find them. We've done 2 so far. The noticing God's comfort and conviction. And here's something that I wanted to share today about hearing from God. So a couple of points. When we practicing to hear from God is challenging. And there are going to be times when it feels like, it may be even long seasons, where it feels like God's not speaking to you at all. And it's also challenging to know, is that God or is that just me? Is this just things going on in my brain? Kind of what's happening? And I think that that's actually a healthy place. A lot of times I talk about this tension of both and, or the tension of either or, kind of being in this place of being receptive to what God is doing and boldly moving forward in what you sense and believe that God is doing while remaining supple and humble enough to hear wisdom from other people who may hear something different from God, to consider God's wisdom throughout time, which we see throughout Scripture, and how He has worked in the lives of other people. so it's this balance of trusting that God does speak and that he wants to speak directly to your heart, that he's constantly there and available to minister to your heart directly. You don't have to get someone else to interpret it or to verify, but at the same time, also remaining humble enough to receive that you might get it wrong. Get to move forward in the best understanding that you have with a willingness to receive correction. And so when I mentioned the challenge of cultivating, asking God where he might be showing like comfort and conviction. So maybe there's comfort in saying, yes, I believe this is you, God. I'm going to do the best I can. And the fruit of that is God honoring. It's an alignment with God's character and with his word, who he is and who he says he is. But if there's some aspect in me that's not seeing something that is of you, I also want to remain humble enough that if I'm getting several people saying something different, to at least consider that and to lay that back before you and let the Holy Spirit convict my heart and say, okay, I thought I understood this, but maybe either you're changing direction or I didn't understand. And I want to encourage you that it is okay if you get it wrong. I have a lot of fear of getting it wrong and trying to make sure that all the pieces are in place before I move forward. But then I move forward in something and then I think, oh, well, maybe I was too prideful or whatever, selfish and prideful, and I shouldn't move forward. So again, stepping into this boldness, I call it bold humility, something that I'm going to write about again in the future at some point. I've had this on the shelf for a while, but what bold humility looks like is really owning who we are and consistently responding to the Spirit and allowing God to speak to us. So out of this place, one of the things that we do not do, or we need to be very careful of doing, my recommendation, is not to tell other people, God told me, and therefore I'm just going to do it. So this is a damaging perspective that's happened to me. I've heard it happen to many other people too. When somebody says, God told me, and it automatically cuts out anybody else from having a voice or an ability to hear from God as well and speak into your life. So going back to that place of moving forward the best you can, but as you continue with safe people in your life and people who are listening to the Holy Spirit, just being available to kind of, okay, is this something that you want me to receive, Lord? Is this from you? Being responsive and receptive to what God might be doing through other people. It's how we need community, because each of us has different unique experiences, different filters, different beliefs that vary in our ability to be able to reflect God to the world around us. And so the benefit of having community is that we do get to have some different perspectives and consider them. That doesn't mean that we have to change ours necessarily, but that we're supple enough to receive that. Okay, lastly, I'm doing a giveaway, and I mentioned that it was going to be a book by John Townsend. I hope I got it right, because Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend are kind of very similar in my book. They wrote the Boundaries books. This book I got, I have a paperback copy that I got as an advanced reader copy before it released a few years ago. It's all marked up, lots and lots of highlights in it. And I got this beautiful hardcover, brand new from the Baker Book House. It was actually in the used book section, but it's brand new. I don't think there's any writing in it. And I want to give it to one of you guys. This is the book, The Entitlement Cure. I'm not sure if that shows the right way or not. Finding Success in Doing Hard Things the Right Way, Dr. John Townsend. This is a fantastic book. And Kelly, you love highlighters. I think, did you see all my pens and highlighters, right? A couple weeks ago? Yes, color-coded highlighting. I like to do that too. They mean different things to me, so I can flip through books and actually look for the color. And it helps me know kind of thought processes that I might be going through when I highlighted something. So let's see. What is the question here on the Entitlement Cure? What I'd really like to know is that first weekly challenge. Going back to the first weekly challenge, how you kind of felt God's comfort or conviction. So each of us has some sense of entitlement. It's easy for us, especially I think in my age, I'm in my later 40s, people talk about the millennials and they put down other people groups quickly and easily to say that, well, they're entitled. And there is truth in that in some respects, that there are certain, like, I'm not going to get into specifics right now, where entitlement is kind of the root of that type of personality or a subset of people, for example. But one of the things he talks about is that we all have some level of entitlement. So I've noticed it with my kids, for example, that I feel entitled to their respect. And that caused me to have a lot of anger with my kids when they were younger, especially the older ones when they were younger, and not respect them and having their own opinions and thoughts. And so God has kind of convicted me of that. I used to pray, take my anger. I can't be angry with my kids anymore. Really, I needed a change of heart to recognize what my own expectations were. So I would love to hear how maybe God has revealed to you your own expectations that weren't healthy on another person, or your own expectations for yourself that maybe could lead to entitlement or has led to entitlement in the past. So that's the question I'm going to put down. How have you seen at some point in your life, it could be recent, it could be farther in the past, how you've had expectations on yourself or others that limited your ability to have healthy relationships, even if it's your relationship with God or other people, either way. So I would love to hear those responses, and those who comment on that question will be entered for this book. I'm going to let this run all the way through, probably through Sunday night, so that people who only have a chance to check on things during the weekend have a chance to enter the drawing, and I'll send it out via email probably this weekend. So I'd love to give this beautiful hardcover away to one of you guys. And if you have questions, feel free to post those in the group. If it's not something that I'm still kind of working on the language to help you guys get really clear on what's acceptable to post in the group. For example, don't just start sharing memes about something or like a ton of articles and that kind of thing. But if something that God is working on you that specifically helps you cultivate life with Him that has been helpful, you can go ahead and post it, and it'll get approved or declined by me. If it's not posted in the group, it's because I didn't feel that it was appropriate for the group for some reason. Again, my goal is not to I want to be able to invite people to start their own conversation threads in the group. I'm also very cautious about not letting the group become kind of a free-for-all. I want it to be the safe group that I talked about before. Thank you guys all so much for joining me today, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing how these weekly challenges go in the future, and I have other projects in the works, so I would just love your prayers. And again, especially as I head to Geneva, Switzerland on Friday the 18th is when I'm heading out. I'll be gone for 2 weeks working on the book. And honestly, for those who have stayed to the end, I have some significant other challenges that have been ongoing for a long time and are, every time I come closer to putting out content that's helpful, the enemy really, really attacks. And so I would love your prayers on that, just that I would continue to remain humble and responsive to God, and that I would also be confident and strong in continuing the work that I believe that God has called me to do the best that I can, and receptive to other people as they hear from God as well that are close to me in my life. Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'll talk to you soon.